Good evening and welcome to this very special edition. We're calling it the Diwali Party Roll the Dice. Why roll the dice? You will find out very shortly. But please welcome Nikunj Dalmia and me, Aisha Faridi, in joining us, a very esteemed panel of guests. We've got with us Shankar Sharma, Manish Shakhani, as well as Ramdeo Agarwal. Ramdeo, hi, good evening. Let me start off with you first. Firstly, on the onset, wish you a very happy Diwali.
Yeah, let me wish to all the viewers and you and Nikunj a very happy Diwali.
Okay, Ramdeo, we can keep talking about how unprecedented this year has been, but the fact of the matter is that the price is telling you a very different story. 12,600 on the Nifty, it's blue sky territory. Up to vaccine bhi aa gayi. Hopefully very soon should be hitting markets. Are you getting that Diwali party wali feeling, or are you still in disbelief?
No. I'm getting the party feeling. I mean, I'm a guy at the top. I feel like a partying. At the bottom, I feel like I'm not a guy who can think ahead of the kind of a market curve. So तेजी में तेजी, मंदी में मंदी, इस टाइप का हमारा feeling होता है. But my portfolio is always 100% invested. Because I am not good at timing the market. So right now I'm feeling very nice and feeling bullish, and so yes, for last 1-2 months, that's the feeling I have.
Manish, do you share the same optimism and enthusiasm? Is it the party wali feeling, or are you still rubbing your eyes in disbelief?
It's both. I was taken by utter surprise at the speed of the fall in March. I'm taken by utter surprise by the speed of the rise which has occurred now. If you had asked me in March, will we be able to go high in November? I would have said not possible. So you know my ability to predict is zero now. So I'm a happy investor. We choose to be optimistic. And we're happy that way. That's a happy way to lead life.
Shankar, things have been very unclear for a lot of us. So when the world discovered a problem called COVID, Nifty was at 12,000, and now world has discovered a vaccine. Hopefully, Nifty is still at 12,000. So markets have taken a complete turn, and benchmark indices are there where they were, let's say, in the month of March.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not just this March. I think even last March the Nifty was at 12,000. And I think even 2 years back, Nifty was also at 12,000. The beauty of our market is always keeps us in a state of excitement. But वो एक गाड़ी है, you're sitting in that car and you're pressing the accelerator full steam. उसमें काली शीशे चढ़े हुए हैं. अब शीशा नीचे करोगे तो आप वहां से हिले ही नहीं जाओ, वहीं के वहीं हो. But वो engine, sound, fury is massive. तो पैसेंजर को लगता है कि बहुत भयंकर जर्नी पर हम लोग हैं, लेकिन खोल के देखते तो वहीं के वहीं बैठे हुए पिछले to the best of my knowledge for the last 2.5 years. That said, within that, many stocks have made huge money. Okay, so the Nifty may or may not be the right benchmark to use. I mean, this year itself, I was looking at a list of the best performing stocks in the world, and I found a company called RC Drugs in it, which we happen to own in our funds. I mean, I think with nothing really going for it, I think it is up like 15 times from March or April or something like that. Okay, a stock which has been flat for the last 10 years. 700 crore का market cap, आज उसका मेरे ख्याल 8,000 crore हो गया. So we've had huge winners in this year, even though point to point the Nifty is still, I think, more or less flat for the year. Okay, and I think that is what the incremental story for India is. It's always been a great bottom-up market. And थोड़ा मेहनत करो, थोड़ा नसीब अगर साथ है, more or less you will find 10-20 stocks to fill a decent portfolio. That said, I must add one very important thing. At least, I'm not in the same mindset as a lot of my dear friends, on this show and outside of this show, in which I'm not a believer. I will always question. Okay. तो मैं हर चीज को क्वेश्चन करता हूँ, भगवान को भी क्वेश्चन करता हूँ. तो मैं ये सवाल पूछता हूँ, ask this question, that if everything is so good, then why in the last 6 weeks in particular the Nifty has been driven and more by a single sector called banks, and everything else has been a negative contributor, including today. If you see a 4% move in the Bank Nifty has led to a 1.5% move in the Nifty, but that is exactly what it is. That's roughly 40%. So 15 into 4 is roughly, about the same as what the market has delivered. So there is something which is happening under the surface that we need to be mindful of. Like I said, enough number of stocks, we are spoiled for choice. But on the broad headline indices, there is some degree of narrowness of the bull market that we saw starting from 1st of April, which was a beautiful bull market. We played it. At least luckily we avoided the March fall. So in hindsight, the easiest part of this rally was up until the end of August, or actually even let's say from the end of September. From October till today, there has been a little bit of wobbliness in terms of this market when just a narrow group of stocks is beginning to and which have lagged. Banks have lagged the rally. They are still I think 13-14% away from their highs, while the markets have taken out their highs. So that the laggards rally is something which we need to be careful about it. I mean, it's just like, in life you need to be careful if you're going out today. It's not that you will catch COVID, but just be careful, just be mindful.
Shankar, Aisha and me ask questions for a living. So if market experts, they start questioning, what will happen to us?
You should also ask questions to market experts, and you could replay the videos back again after 6 months.
There's a saying in the market that when a guy with experience meets a guy with money, soon the guy with experience has the money and the guy with the money has the experience. So you can figure that out.
Acha, Nico just becoming an FII soon, is it?
Money side or the experience side?
Figure that out.
I would ask that question to Ramdev. Ramdev, on the experience side or the money side, which side are you on?
I have public money and private experience, which doesn't go well. I mean, what I've seen is that my experience as a private investor is very different from the challenge of managing public money. I mean, this is a new discovery, new passion. I mean, I'm enjoying it, but it is challenging. I mean, it's a very different ball game. So yes, we need the experience, we need the money. We are both, but yet the magic is not. It's not coming,
Manish, rather than asking a question, let me pick up a comment which you always make or which you've made or referred to in our previous interactions. Markets, they always vote for rate of change. Focus on where the puck will move rather than where the puck has moved. So what are markets telling you? While Nifty may have done a full circle from 12,000 to 12,000 in this COVID world, the underlying shape of the economy has changed, whether it's on digital, whether it's on pharma, whether it is work from home, or whether it is adaptation. Where do you think the rate of change is? And are markets right in re-rating pharma, IT, and these digital platforms?
So first let me start with, as you described the Nifty composition. If I've seen the Indian markets now, I find 5 sectors account for 70% of the profit pool in India. So the old economy of oil and gas and the commodities, and the relatively newer ones of what we call consumer goods, IT, and the whole financial space. So these 5 sectors take 70-75% of India's profit pool. And in each of these sectors in turn, the top 5 companies account for 70-75% of the profit pool. So that's the 25 odd companies which are about 50% of India's profit pool, and also, as it turns out, 50% of India's market cap is with around 25 companies. And that's why you sometimes find the Nifty looking very different from what is going on with the country, because a lot of these companies have exposure to overseas markets, and as our economy is getting, organized and GSTized, we're getting a barbell where the very large are able to disproportionately gain share, and the very small who are non-compliant are staying out of that tax net. And the middle is kind of getting in a way hollowed out. What this COVID has done is accelerated that phenomenon, where the compliant companies, if you see this quarter results, I was really blown out that how fast corporate India had moved on their costs, on their working capital, and with this fall of interest rates, the amount of operating and financial leverage which came in produced results which frankly I was not expecting. And if you see going forward, this theme is going to keep playing. We'll move from the older and the less organized to the newer and the more organized and the more digitized. And we're seeing profit pool shifting more and more towards, the what you call brains and brand sectors. And it is going to be a continuation of that. And with now the mood of the world kind of going against China, the opportunities for us to take in chemicals, pharmaceuticals, auto ancillaries, electronics, all these PLI schemes which are coming out, the big APMC reforms which have come out, labor reforms which have come out. See, go back to 91, it didn't all play out immediately in that year. It took 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years to play out. But I do think we are on the cusp of that big change in the country, which we've been hoping for. The issue is it comes too little, too late. So while China is moving to AI and robotics and all of that, we are still reforming what we should have done 20 years ago with privatization and labor and land reform and so on. Having said that, better late than never. And as you rightly said, the market rewards rate of change. So if we go from terrible to bad or bad to less bad, you get rewarded for it. And I think we are in that kind of period. And also, as Shankar rightly said, the wall of money is likely to move to emerging markets. And hopefully we will be beneficiaries of that as well.
Ramdev, how worrisome is this narrow pool of profits that Manish and Shankar reiterated towards? Because if I just look at the gains, be it from March or from last Diwali to now, it's the same TCS, Reliance, HDFC Bank, Asian Paints. Where's the new opportunity? And now with the sudden move and the rotation into banks, do you think more bottom-up stories will be in focus as opposed to these boys which have always, had it in the limelight?
Yeah, I think the markets will go where the momentum in the profits are, and the momentum in the profits are in consolidating sector. Like it's a proper K-shaped recovery, where maybe 1/3 of the stocks will, 1/3 of the companies will benefit, 1/3 will stay where they are, and 1/3 will definitely they are losing out. And that whosoever is losing out, that's being added up to the top. So like look at banks. I mean, like 1/3 of the banks which are private sector, 2/3 are public sector. I mean, the public sector banks don't know where the capital will come and when it will come. So when the economy is coming back, the incremental business, good quality business will go to the private sector banks only. And that's how the migration from 60% current share to by 2%, 3% per annum. Banking itself will go at about 12-15%, and private sector banking might go at 20-25%. And within them, some banks can grow even higher. So the opportunity side for this. So markets are reading somewhere that this migration from public sector to private sector is going to accelerate, and we are not seeing much of support for public sector banks from the Delhi also. So but then markets are not going to wait. I mean, in next 3 years is a long period. I mean, Delhi might decide to privatize or even recap, but then that may take time. Here the economy is on the move. So, that large opportunities which are there, and unfortunately this, what Manish said, let me just a little bit make it bigger. There are 40 main sectors of the economies, and out of that, in good time, between 2003 to 2007 or 8, 32 industry groups did very well, very well. And in 2002-03, when recession was there, it was just about 6 sectors out of 40. Right now there is 6 sectors. Only 6 sectors are doing well, and 34 sectors are not doing well. Corporate profit to GDP, which was more like 7% in 2007, has come down to less than 2%. So there is a complete drought of corporate profits in aggregate. Yes, there are pockets where there are profits, and those pockets are basically IT, consumer products, your private sector banking, auto to some extent, and oil and gas, basically Reliance. So these are 5-6 sectors where profits are there, and yet underlying profits if you talk about the trend growth, I mean, like in last 25 years, in 95, IT was 1% of the total corporate profits. Today it is 25% of the total corporate profit. That's the size of change we are talking about. When Infosys was 1,000 crores, today it is running into lakhs of crores. So, I mean, what in industry, what we have to figure out is where is the next big trend happening, and can we log on to them in time? It doesn't matter whether you do it today or do it after a month or so. So, my sense is that big, these migrations are happening in public sector to private sector. Though it is the last 25 years trend, I think next 10 years will be the most exciting in that, and where big bucks will be created by the existing large banks and even the one or two emerging mid-sized banks which will be successfully becoming larger banks. That's where I see big opportunity, and so I think still opportunities remain very focused, I would say. But if by chance government spend actually comes in infra, very seriously, because globally coordinated liquidity flow into infra, which has never happened, we only talk. So still we have talk. By chance, if it happens finally, I think then it can give birth to a very different set of companies which are dying or we are completely out of shape right now. But when you don't expect anything in the market, that's what really happens. So we have to wait for the doors to open for infra spend or housing boom. Those things, both the things are dead for last 15 years. But can it come back?
That's been a long-awaited wish. But Manish, you've been very critical of Indian IT. It's a separate story what the stocks have done. But the fact that you've always believed that we're nowhere close to what the Apples and Googles of the world are, the fact that technology and IT leadership still is in the hands and very concentrated at that, be it in the US, China or Korea. Do you think Indian IT as a service provider to the world can play catch up? Because if you just look at the kind of commentary, be it from the previous quarter or the one just ended, the commentary is fabulous. Be it margins, be it guidance, be it growth, visibility, hiring, salary restoration, they've got it all right.
Yes, Aisha, I think it's not fair to say I've been critical of them. I'm very, very appreciative of what the Indian IT sector has done. And in fact, they've been responsible for the brand image of India globally. What I would just like to say though is that our aspiration, not just in IT, but even in industry, has been very kind of hangover of the colonial era, where we are happy to be service providers to the world, but we don't want to be the scale players or the brand players. Right? Even in industry, other than auto, which has some amount of exports to the world, we are largely a commodity producer and exporter of, steel and iron ore and stuff like that. Same thing in IT, we are providing the picks and shovels. And I remember, and Ramdev and Shankar, of course, far senior to me, we used to joke in the 1990s and the early 2000s that China is a robotic society. They are good at hardware, we are good at software. And forget even comparing ourselves to the Apples and the Googles of the world. Look what China has created over the last 20 years in the software space. Whether it's a Alibaba or a Tencent, what have you, they've created these gigantic $500 billion companies, and we are left with one Reliance, which is going to play the game, presumably on telecom and on retail and on financials, and be the kind of Indian IT play in a sense now. Whereas the Indian IT sector, which was servicing all these players, never either invested in some of these companies which are being built, like a lot of people are now waking up, nor did they even think of creating platforms, except maybe that one Infosys Finacle used to be talked about 20 years ago. We could never go into this non-linear, platform-based, product-based model. And even now when we are creating them, unfortunately or fortunately, the whole dream in the private equity space is let me get money from starting with Sequoia and ending with SoftBank, so that someone else takes the risk and the entrepreneur is left with 10% holding in these companies. Now, as a country, I feel sad that we are holding $560 billion of reserves lent back to the world at 2%, which they are using to buy back all these equities, which are the future wealth creators of India. So it's more a kind of policy and a mindset issue, which I feel sad about. But I mean, for the companies themselves, they are doing, they're sticking to their core and they're doing what they do best. I just feel bad as an investor and as an Indian that we don't have enough of those opportunities over here.
So what Aisha and me will do is that now in the next course of half an hour, we'll try and get into some forward-looking predictions and perhaps talk about some mega trends which are at play. You know, we always talk about mega trends like Ramdev pointed out, market share of private banks, market share of PSU banks going to private banks, what's happened in the telecom space, what's happened in the organized versus unorganized space, how platform companies are gaining market share, how within private banking space HDFC Bank is growing, others are not growing at that space. You know, Shankar a couple of months ago in a webinar said that markets are voting for just one thing, which is the survivor. Ramdev, you track the auto space very closely, and what we've seen in the auto sector this year, at least at global level, is nothing short of magic. Look at Tesla's market cap, look at the market cap of rest of the auto companies in the world. As somebody who understands the auto sector, are you really thinking again about buying a Maruti or a Bajaj Auto or a Hero MotoCorp now?
Yeah, Nikun, for Indian context, we are not dominated by exports to any other part of the world, and our own auto industry compared to US and all, and US have gone through very different phase in the sense that there were literally 100% penetration of what could be the penetration of cars, and whether in luxury cars or whatever. So they have 100%. For 300 million people, they have 160 million cars on the road. I mean, you cannot sell any more cars there. Here, for 1300 million people, you have 20 million cars. I mean, we have not started even buying cars. Forget about buying electric cars. I mean, where is the electric car? Like $50,000, $60,000 with green credit, red credit, they are able to sell. I mean, here we need, I mean, where affordability is nowhere, not where there. We need basic mobility. We are still in two-wheeler age. We not even come to the four-wheeler. But yet, we have to have an eye on the innovation and disruptions. And that you cannot take it away. Still, it has not become a mainstream disruption, but yes, it is staying at you. And all the companies are trying to see how exactly you can harness the power of it whenever it becomes relevant. Typically, this kind of this is going to be the biggest disruption or biggest value migration from conventional IC engine to electric. But it has a timeline in the sense that is it 5 years away or 10 years away, or is it waiting for some another major breakthrough in battery technology, and how far it is away, I don't have any idea. But it is still not affordable in the sense that even in 2030 we are saying, I mean, wildest guess is that 30% of all the car population could be electric. So I think that's also a guesstimate. I think the road is very clearly right now for next 5-10 years, 15 years. I think our conventional auto guys have a great time to come. But what is most important is surging growth or demand as affordability grows. There is no new competition coming in. I mean, you see, like exit of, see, whenever any big global name exists from this country, it means the landscape is open only for the existing players. Your General Motor has gone from here, your Ford has gone from there. In motorcycles, recently Harley Davidson closed the shop. They said we cannot compete here, we cannot make money here. So they are leaving. So it is leaving the current 5-6 players. They are the guys who are going to make it. And the opportunity is staggering because this country doesn't have vehicles. I mean, even two-wheeler penetration is so low, very low. And when the interest rate goes down, see, one of the biggest things you should be asking from Shankar and Manish both, what will be the impact of sustained low interest rate? Whether the interest rates are going to remain low, for how long, and what will be the impact in the economy? That variable is going to play out big time. You know, so my sense is automotive remains very, I would say, consolidated sector where 2 or 3 players are there, whether it is a tractor, whether it is a truck, or whether it is a car. Bulk of the profits, 90% of the profits are top 2 guys. So the growth is ahead of them, and they are very well managed. They pay out, their corporate governance is very good, relations are reasonable. I would think that it is a very exciting sector to handle.
Okay, Shankar, another mega trend which we don't talk about it that much is look at what is happening to banks at a global level. And financial, well, they've created history in the right way and also in the wrong way. If I look at the pecking order of top banks globally or top, platforms, financial platforms now, banks are losing their sheen. Do you think what's happening in global markets in terms of fintech becoming bigger than traditional banks will also happen in India, Shankar?
No chance. I'll tell you one thing Indians are very good at. Okay, and frankly only one thing, and which is why Indians don't create global companies. What हिंदी में बोलते हैं setting. So our industrialists and corporates are so good at managing policy that they will never allow these fintech companies to come and take away their. They have 50 billion, 100 billion market cap है सब. थोड़े आप बैंक मैनेजर बनने दोगे इंडिया में, वो सब नहीं होने वाला है. We will ensure that if at all it happens, it will happen with only one or two outside non-bank, people. We all know who they are. But widespread and financial type outside of the mainline banks, like what has happened in China, I have no hope at all that India will be a truly liberalized market. If anything, it has become a more concentrated market. And of course, as the data as Ramdev and Manish have pointed out, instead of fostering large-scale entrepreneurship through policy, we have made it more restrictive so that all the fruits of growth, whatever such as the growth is flowing only to a lesser and lesser number of companies. So don't worry about that. India में and financial नहीं बन सकता है. It will not happen. और अगर बना तो सिर्फ only one company will do that.
Sure. Shankar, you invest globally as well. The opportunities there are galore. But where is it the new opportunity, or there also the narrator of the rally plays? Because what the FANG names or what or not Tesla is doing, the rest of the market there also is not.
Well, that's a long discussion. I don't want to go into that. But it's you're spoiled for choice, and it's not just the US. So I mean, we have stocks in the UK, in tech, which have done phenomenally well, and which have done amazingly. In Australia, we have a payments company which is, I think, up about 12 times this year. So, dunya about opportunities. Right? I mean, that's exactly the problem which, in a way, Manish alluded to. We have the same set of company or sector for the last, God knows, 25 years, and which Ayesha, in the previous few interactions, I have mentioned this, that look at the composition of your indexes. You don't have a single tech company. Not even one tech company is listed in India. ये वही बैंक्स हैं, वही ऑटोज हैं, वही सीमेंट है, वही स्टील है, वही टेलीकॉम है, जो जब से हमने करियर स्टार्ट किया बारिंग टेलीकॉम, I don't think any new sector has been added. Right, more or less. IT came right in 94, 95. So that was, we were still kids. We rode that boom. But in the last 20 years, basically telecom, right? I mean, we need to have a wider pool of companies for which even we need to apply our minds. Otherwise, तो blindly आप जाके ये 4-5 सेक्टर के रोटेशन में खेलते रहो, बीच में आपको हाथ पे चला के अपने को मिल जाएगा 2-5 स्टॉक. So opportunities in India need to broaden, and I was very happy this year. Let me not sound alarmist, that this year, after a 3-year drought in the small cap space, it took off, from January itself. It had a bit of a fall in March. But since then, small caps have really come back massively this year. That has thankfully broadened the pool, of companies. So basically, this year in that way has been refreshingly different from 2019 and 2018, because the small caps have given us a lot of breadth in terms of opportunities. So it is good. We need to have more of such broader bull markets rather than the same old, 5-sector or 4-sector rotation.
Before we really start our Diwali party, let's just remind our viewers what a year it's been. And frankly, for Ayesha and me, or for ET now, it's been a year where we would say what ultimately has triumphed is human spirit, our ability to adapt, our ability to innovate, and our ability to, in a sense, weather a storm. This year, we've been humbled, and been humbled by how our children, they adopted, and they've been real teachers for us, how they adopted learning, how they adopted education. And frankly, Ayesha, this year the big realization for all of us has been that if you try to predict the market short-term direction, it is like trying to predict the weather in Mumbai, which we cannot get it right. I guess it is important to predict the season, which is the long-term trajectory, and I think that we will always get right.
One was Wi-Fi, if we did not have that, and the other was your wife. And when it says Y with a FE, it was with that spine of iron that they held the families together and they coped so well. So it should be a special salute this year to Wi-Fi and wife.
It's Diwali, the party is already here. Yes, we can debate about how long lasting it is or how many names are in the party, but party it is nonetheless, looking at the nifty numbers. So we're going to roll the dice, and wherever the dice stops, our experts have to answer those questions, and we've got 6 questions lined up for our experts. I'm just going to quickly roll the dice and let's see where it stops. It stopped at 1. Shankar, I have a question for you. Your one resolution this somewhat.
My one resolution this somewhat is to drink red wine, because I've been advised that the white wine you drink is not good for your heart. So I'm changing. I've drunk only the white wine all my life, but I've started doing that lately, and it's going quite well.
Just quit alcohol. That's going to be best for your heart. But anyway, I'm going to roll the dice and let's see whose turn comes next and what number we get. And okay, it's number 3. Ramdev, 3 stocks that you wish you invested in or you invested a little late and you regret that.
You know, Tesla, when it was about $20-30 billion, it crossed my mind because I'm a big practitioner of value migration, and I could see this happening. It is still on, but at that level, in fact, in Bangalore, I was sitting and I was telling one techie from US to explain the concept of value migration and how it can explode. And I was just really frozen in terms of really investing there. I mean, not about so much about making money, but really betting the conviction. At least a few thousand shares or 100,000 shares or something. So that I didn't do. I thought that was, I mean, it is 20x, but it is not about money. It is about pulling the conception. I mean, I was so clear it is going to happen. That was one. And I mean, you see most of the things globally only that they've made so much of money in US. And even this Google, monopoly of Google and Microsoft, particularly Microsoft, when Mr. Nadella took over, at that point of time, I thought that was, I think, $35, $40, around $40, $45 was the price. And I said, this is going to, when they got the cloud, when they just about launched the cloud in 14 or 15, and I had met actually one Microsoft guy, senior guy, and he had explained me what cloud means. Actually, I didn't know what cloud is. And and cloud is very consolidated. I mean, global server farms coming just to 3 or 4 guys. And it was just a start of the thing. They said, I mean, these guys are going to mint money and they'll be the biggest in the cloud. And even now, I think cloud business for Microsoft is growing a lot. So there again, I mean, again, the migration, value migration based stocks, these are 1 or 2 stocks which come to my mind, which is very close to everybody, and yet I couldn't buy. So I think in markets, when you get high conviction thing, at least you start little and then you can build upon that. So that probably when the next idea comes to me, I may do that.
Okay, I'll roll this one now, and this is for Manish Chokhani, and there you go. It is number 5. So Manish, it's a simple question, a money-making idea from your stable.
On every Diwali, I like to say this, that it's a young country with a lot of opportunity. And if every youngster can go out and try to create a business, that's where wealth and value is created. We guys, had luck for the last 20-30 years. We were involved in the stock market. But the money-making idea is go and build a business. The amount of wealth you can make out of it is extraordinary. And the enjoyment and the impact you can have is extraordinary. So that would be my wish for anyone young who's viewing this show.
Okay. All right, Shankar. Round 2, and there you go. It is number 4. Well, round 2 of this game, and the second and the number I've got on my dice, Shankar, for you is 4. 4 means Shankar Sharma has to identify his favorite global stock, which he feels, in all probability, he may just own it for next 5 years.
So I don't make predictions for 5 years. World is too dynamic. But if you were to force me to give you one name, I mean, it's a stock called Fiverr. It's a platform which matches independent freelancers to companies who want to get work done. And this year the stock is up, I think about 7 times or 8 times from the lows. I've loved this company for a long time because I've used their services. So I've held it for a while. This was really the big breakout year. It's still a very small company. I think it must be about $15 billion if I'm not mistaken. By global standards, still a very tiny company. I think this is just a great business with amazing barriers to entry. I don't think you can create a second Fiverr. So I think just it's a terrific company, and absolutely like the business model and what they've created.
Though the right dice rolled at 4, we should have taken 4 stock ideas from you, Shankar, but we're going to let you go easy on that note. I'm going to get in a question for Manish next. Let's see what the dice now rolls, and we've got number 6. Wow. Manish, 6 rules of investing in this current market environment.
I'll just go back to the 2 simplest rules that I learned from the great Warren Buffett. Rule number 1, don't lose money. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1.
You don't forget the rules, but it's easier said than done. Okay, last one for Ramdev then, and there you go. We've got 2 now. Ramdev, 2 data points. 2 things that you first look at when you wake up in the morning and you start your trading day.
Well, of course, I look at what has happened in the overnight in the global markets. I look at the commodities and the indices. I mean, just curiously, I see the data so that I'm updated about what has happened in the world. Nowadays, too many things are happening overnight, so that just keeps me updated. And then I go for the walk and come back, and religiously I read my 5 newspapers, and that is a real kind of a good morning show for me. So yeah, there is nothing very pointed in the morning that because I don't trade, so that's fine. I mean, whatever is there, we close the last evening is good enough in the morning. But the world has become, I mean, we have become very global, and we have to keep in mind what's happening worldwide.
Gentlemen, it was so fantastic to have you on this special Diwali party. On behalf of Aisha and me and from everyone from ET Now, wish you and your family a very happy Diwali. Stay safe and enjoy yourself. And by the way, Aisha, we've got 2 singers on the show today. It is Manish and Ramdev, and also Shankar, actually 3. So Manish, do you want to start, or Shankar, do you want to start first?
No. You just pointed out the two good singers. Stick with them.
You are happy Diwali. Social Diwali to everyone.
I have a dice and I can roll. I have a dice and I can roll and call out names. So I will let you guys choose.
Please exclude me because I don't want to spoil viewers Diwali at least.
You've always been a sport. Why didn't you start? Come on. One music note to describe the feeling this Diwali.
Okay, I'll do one line because my son is engaged as well and is happy Diwali. So there's a nice song which goes, आती रहेंगी बहारें, जाती रहेंगी बहारें, दिल की नजर से दुनिया को देखो, दुनिया सदा ही हंसी है.
Wow, very nice.
Over to you, Shankar.
You could have sung it, Manish.
I think we should close at the high of the day. No, No, we should close at the high of the day. I think that's been done.
I would agree with that.
In markets, they always say, Shankar, we keep on making new highs. So Manish has made a high. Why don't you make a new high?
No, that's a low, yeah. I mean, please, as Ramdev very tactfully said, he doesn't want to spoil people's Diwali. So I will take the same defense.
Okay, we leave it there. Thank you all very much for joining us, and it's just been a year of twists and turns and peak and turps, but what a year has been, a year which in a sense will be unforgettable for all of us.